What's up, guys? Welcome to Film Trash and happy Friday the 13th. And what better way to celebrate Friday the 13th than by ranking the Friday the 13th franchise? Before I begin, I just want to say that these are just my opinions. You're welcome to have your own opinions. You're welcome to disagree with me. Just don't be a dick about it. Now, this was kind of a tough one for me to do. Definitely more difficult for me than a Nightmare on Elm Street series because I grew up with A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's my favorite horror franchise. I loved the movies as a kid. Friday the 13th, however, I honestly don't remember watching any as a kid. I know as an adult I ended up going out and renting all of them and watching them, kind of binge watching them. So, I don't have quite that nostalgia that I do with A Nightmare on Elm Street. In addition, there's a few that I had to go back and kind of rewatch because I hadn't seen them in a while and they were a little bit forgettable, but yeah, it's still a great franchise. I still love the movies. So let's go ahead and begin with number 12, Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. This was actually a little bit tough for me to rank so low because it does have some really good kills and I like some of the characters. However, the story is just awful. It actually kind of reminds me of the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, where it feels like the film has nothing at all to do with the Friday the 13th franchise, but they put a hockey mask on the killer and called it Friday the 13th. Because Jason's not the killer in this one. It's actually a paramedic that we meet at the very beginning of the film. His son gets killed, and we see his son get killed. And apparently that sets him off, and he goes off on a killing spree. So it's just some random guy named Roy Burns that we don't know or care about at all. I don't know what they were thinking, but it's a stupid story. I really don't care for it. Again, it is a good film other than that. Like, if it were just any other slasher film, it'd be fun. It's got some good kills. But as a Friday the 13th movie, it just doesn't do it for me.
Oh, some damn enchiladas!
Indeed it is. Alright, moving on to number 11. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This one is just not a very good movie. It's got some cool ideas, and the parts where Jason is actually in Manhattan are pretty fun. But most of the movie is actually spent on a boat, not actually in Manhattan, so there's that. But then also, like, the story doesn't really make sense. Apparently Camp Crystal Lake is attached to the ocean or something that goes to Manhattan. It's kind of a weird concept, but yeah, it's an okay movie, but if they could have put more of the movie in Manhattan, it might have been a little bit better. I do really like the way Jason looks at the very end of the film after he gets hit with all the sewage in New York, which is apparently is toxic enough to just melt your face away and turn you back into a little kid, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, not that great of a movie. Alright, number 10. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. This is another one that I just don't really care for the story. The idea that they kill Jason and then he comes back because somehow he possesses the coroner to, like, eat his heart, and then he possesses the coroner and then he can kind of jump around from body to body. I don't know, it was strange. We don't really get a whole lot of Jason in this film because he's kind of jumping around from body to body instead. So again, just not a very good story. Alright, number 9. Jason X. I know that some people might not like that I put this one so low. A lot of people really love this film. But it's bad. It's a really bad movie. It's terrible, it's cheesy. And I've heard that, a lot of people say, like, well, it's supposed to be. It's kind of self-aware. And maybe that's true, but I couldn't get past the cheesiness of it. It does have some really cool kills. In fact, it's got probably the best kill in the entire franchise. However, that doesn't make up for the cheesiness of it. You can't just take a good horror movie franchise and put it in outer space and expect it to be a good movie, because it never is. I mean, it gave us this sort of super Jason, if you will. And if you've seen my rankings of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, you know that I wasn't a big fan of Super Freddy. So yeah, I didn't like that part at all. Not a good movie in my opinion. Alright, number 8 on my list is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. This was one of the ones that was a little bit more forgettable for me. I had to go back and rewatch it, but after rewatching it, I remembered that I actually do kind of like this movie. I do think it goes a little bit stupid with the story, especially at the end. The whole like psychic girl fighting Jason thing. I don't know. I think it's kind of dumb to add that in there, but at the same time, it was kind of cool. It made for some cool inventive fights. It definitely wasn't like a bad movie, but it wasn't great either. And like I said, the ending with her father coming up out of the lake and grabbing Jason and pulling him down, that part I thought was kind of dumb. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. It just was not anything special. Alright, number 7 on my list. Again, this is one that I think people might not be too happy with me ranking it lower, but it's Freddy vs. Jason. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy this movie. I think it's a lot of fun, and obviously it's something that horror fans were really looking forward to, seeing two big titans of horror fighting each other, and that part of the movie is great. Outside of that part of the movie, it's not that great. The story was actually pretty decent. I like the idea behind how they got the two together, and that aspect of it was cool. But the sort of the protagonists outside of Freddy and Jason, just the normal human characters, they were all stupid and forgettable, and I didn't like any of them. I didn't care at all when they died. So yeah, it was a good movie as far as just being like fan service, you know. So I'll give it that. Honestly, I feel like this movie and Part 7 could be kind of interchangeable for me. So let's move on to number 6. Friday the 13th, Part 3. Now, obviously, this is the movie where Jason gets his hockey mask that he's most well known for. And that part of the movie is great. I enjoyed the film for the most part. The only problem I really had with it was the cheesiness of the 3D aspect. Because this film was meant to be like 3D, and they really went a little too far with it. A lot of the scenes, like, they were just trying to add in that 3D aspect by putting things like right up in your face, and it just didn't look very good. At least nowadays, if you're not watching in 3D, it looks kind of stupid. So, and then also, like, I mean, it didn't have the best special effects. The head crush especially was pretty bad looking. Alright, that brings us to number 5. The Friday the 13th remake from 2009. This movie I think gets hated on a lot more than it should. I think it's actually a pretty good movie. It's not the same Jason. It's not like this sort of undead lumbering Hulk that can't be stopped. It's more realistic, it's more grounded, and it's nothing special. There's nothing that it does different than, you know, most of the other films. But I think it does it well. I think it delivers on what it's supposed to be, and it's got good effects. The kills are good, plenty of nudity. So, you know, it's basically just a kind of generic but really well made Friday the 13th film. So I actually really enjoyed it. All right, next up, number 4 is Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. This movie was sort of a return to Jason after the terrible Friday the 13th Part 5. We got to see Tommy Jarvis again. We get to see Jason come back to life. The whole story was actually really good. The characters were good. I know it's often considered one of the best films in the franchise, and I think number 4 is a pretty good spot for it, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great way to bring Jason back, and obviously happy to see him back as the killer. So yeah, definitely deserves a spot up in the top of the list. Alright, so number 3 on the list is Friday the 13th Part 4, The Final Chapter. Another really good one in the franchise, and it's also the beginning of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. I really liked Corey Feldman in this film as young Tommy Jarvis. The whole idea, especially the ending, where he tries to make himself look like the, you know, little kid Jason and trick him. Yeah, it was really good. Very good story. Plus, you know, we got to see Crispin Glover's amazing dance skills. And for me, it's probably one of the most entertaining ones to watch. That one probably number 6. Definitely deserves a spot at the top, in my opinion. Alright, we're coming down to the last 2. And for number 2, I have the original Friday the 13th. Now, I will say that this isn't necessarily a great movie, but it's the beginning of the franchise, and it's a very fun movie. It's got Kevin Bacon in it, which is cool. It's got some great deaths. This came out, as sort of a rip-off of Halloween. They even openly admitted it was kind of a rip-off. But the kills in this film are a lot better than the original Halloween, in my opinion. So it does that better, and it's just got it's got a fun atmosphere to it. And who could forget the twist ending? The ending that it's Jason Voorhees' mom is killing everybody. It's kind of unexpected, and it's really good in my opinion. Maybe not the best or most well-made movie, but still a lot of fun and definitely a classic. And that brings us to the number one spot on my list, Friday the 13th Part 2. Again, I will say that this film is nothing special. It doesn't really do anything super special. It's still just a bunch of kids getting killed at a summer camp. However, this time it is actually Jason Voorhees killing people, not his mother. So it basically takes what made the first film great and changes it up to being Jason Voorhees killing people. Obviously, in this film, he's wearing a sack on his head. He doesn't have the hockey mask yet. But just the fact that it's the first film that we get Jason, and he's a horror icon. He's probably one of the most recognizable horror icons there is, maybe even more so than Michael Myers. So it's hard for me to not put it at number one, mostly for that, but also because it's just a fun movie to watch. So there you have it, guys. That's my personal rankings of the Friday the 13th franchise. If you disagree with me, feel free to tell me in the comments section below what you would list them as. I always love to hear other people's opinions on this. Like I said, I didn't grow up with the Friday the 13th franchise, so maybe some of the other films are more nostalgic to you, and you like them for that reason. So I know I felt that way about some of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. So there you have it, guys. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you guys next time.